Happy New Year. 2025, what a glorious time. President-elect Trump is 18 days away from becoming the 47th president of the United States. It is glorious. It is great. At the same time, the country is chaotic, weird, a little bit scary. The terror attack that happened yesterday morning in New Orleans. You saw this, right? Look at that maniac. Bourbon Street, one of the most famous neighborhoods in the world. And then this is how it started. This 42-year-old terrorist, Jabbar, last name, right? Everything's fine. And then he makes a horrific right turn right onto the sidewalk and hits the gas and starts killing people. At least 14 so far. And that's in Louisiana. Just a little while later, in Nevada, Las Vegas, people start to notice, hey, what's up with the smoke around the Trump Hotel? What's going on over there? I saw it before I knew what happened, and this is what happened. It's a Cybertruck, one of Elon Musk's creations, going off right in front of the Trump Tower in Las Vegas. Of course, what's going on here? This is some sort of a message, right? We all know that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are very strong allies, very good friends. Here they are, actually, just a few hours before that explosion. What's happening here? We don't know. And are we being told the truth? Maybe, maybe not. Our government doesn't have a real strong track record with the truth lately. Here are the suspects. On the left, you got the guy who was involved in the terrorist attack in New Orleans. On the right, the guy who blew up the car in front of the hotel in Las Vegas. They do have a lot in common, these guys. Number one, their military background. They also actually served on Fort Bragg, and they both were in Afghanistan at the same time. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? I think so. And the FBI choosing their words carefully. They say there's no definitive connection. Look for the word definitive.
At this point, there is no definitive link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas. And again, I'll preface everything with what I started with in the beginning, which was this is very early in an investigation like this.
All right. Hey, I'm sure you're a great guy, Paul Raya, FBI, but I'm sorry, your organization has misled us so many times before. And even what you said right there was a little shakiness, and then there was a little bit of an overcorrection. How about this?
At this point, there is no definitive link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas.
All right, I'm sorry, no definitive link. Sometimes when you know what I mean? Okay, no definitive link. Is there a possible link? Is there, are you looking at it? I mean, and then he really emphasizes that, okay, but it's early. It really hits that early stuff.
And again, I'll preface everything with what I started with in the beginning, which was this is very early in an investigation like this.
Got it. Very early. So is there a link? They're following the same MO. Let's see. Let's go over to, this is Las Vegas. The authorities there, a bit more straightforward. That was my sense, at least. The local guys. Take a look at this.
There are a number of things in this case that are similar to the attack in New Orleans. We do know that our subject here served in the military. In fact, he is a current member of the military. Both of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What we do know about that is it's a very large military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg.
Well, you know, there's such a thing as temporary duty, and people go off to schools and that kind of thing. So how about when they were both in Afghanistan at the same time?
I also know that they both served in Afghanistan in 2009. We don't have any evidence that they were in the same province in Afghanistan, the same location, or the same unit. Again, something else that remains under investigation.
All right, so both in the Army, both in a war zone at the same time, both conduct terrorist attacks within a couple of hours of each other on New Year's Day 2025, and they both curiously rented these vehicles, not from Avis, not from Budget, but from an app called Turo. I know stuff online. I've never used Turo. Have you? That's a very particular way to obtain a car, isn't it? So you saw the FBI, and did you see this, however, initially? They were really all over the place. Now, I want to go to, do we have the FBI agent, the one from, oh, we're going to skip that. Here's Joe Biden kind of confusing the issue, potentially.
I directed my team to accelerate these investigations so we have answers to our unanswered questions and making every single resource available to get the job done. And we're going to share the facts as soon as I learn them so the American public doesn't have to wonder.
American public doesn't have to wonder. That's just Joe, right? He always gets the information out to us. Yeah, just like the assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. Do we have all the information about Mr. Crooks in his T-shirt there? The timing? Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think we have all that information. I don't think we have all the information about how that guy was able to run around on the roof for about an hour and a half while he had about $1 billion worth of government resources there and they couldn't detect him. Strange stuff. All right. Hey, at least they're talking about the terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans and Las Vegas. I noticed when there was a terrorist attack in Waukesha, Wisconsin, when a black identity extremist went on a rampage against white people because he hated them in Wisconsin, there was a national moratorium on that situation. Don't talk about that. You might make Al Sharpton feel sensitive or self-conscious. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but something was up. And then there was the situation in Atlanta where they lied and said it was a white supremacist who opened fire on those people who worked at the massage parlors, right? So they ran there and declared it was white supremacy, even when local law enforcement said it wasn't white supremacy, even when the FBI tried to convince them it's not white supremacy. That was early on in the administration. The FBI later figured out how things go and how things have gone. For 4 years in the Biden administration, you remember the boogeyman, right? Everywhere, white supremacy.
According to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today.
One of the greatest threats to our national security is domestic terrorism manifested by white supremacists.
The most prominent threat is the threat of white supremacists.
So that's not true. In fact, they know it's not true. I hate white supremacy, but it's just not a thing. There are 4 guys in the woods somewhere, and the rest are in jail. America does not embrace white supremacy. Ever see the Blues Brothers when Jake and Elwood drove them right off the bridge? That's how we feel about it. But a couple of months later, the FBI caught on, right? Okay, this is how we're going to do business. White supremacy is the number one threat, right? Yeah, number one threat.
I will say that a majority of the domestic terrorism cases that we've investigated are motivated by some version of what you might call white supremacists.
So the FBI is now broken, okay? Federal law enforcement is broken because they adopted a corrupt, political, false ideology about white supremacy, about January 6th. So then when you're confronted with real terrorism like we had in Nevada, like we have in New Orleans, they don't know how to handle it. And they have their people on display who, I'm sorry, are not very impressive. You saw the back and forth and the trying to get their stories straight. And are we going to emphasize this? Are we going to tell the truth here? Check it out.
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found. And we are working on confirming if it's a viable device or not.
The FBI, we are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism.
Let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act.
It's picking up the pieces, because initially they said one thing and then they said there were multiple people who were involved. Now it's just a lone wolf person. Look, January 6th broke that organization. The FBI made finding insurrectionists, quote unquote, the top priority over the past 4 years. You can't actually do your job when you actually don't have a job to do. You have to exaggerate. You have to deceive not only the American people, but yourselves. When you pretend that's something, you don't know how to deal with traditional stuff you're responsible for. Granted, it wasn't just the FBI. It was, Joe Biden's Justice Department. And Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, anybody?
In the aftermath of the attack, the Justice Department began its work on what has become one of the largest, most complex, and most resource-intensive investigations in our history. Only a small number of perpetrators were arrested in the tumult of January 6th itself. Every day since, we have worked to identify, investigate, and apprehend defendants from across the country.
Well, you did a lot of damage to the country, to your institutions, and to thousands of people who didn't hurt anybody, who didn't break anything, and just might have been set up. So here we are today, trying to make heads or tails out of what happened in New Orleans, Las Vegas, and I'm sorry, but the government not off the hook here. A lot of things are going on, right? January 6th coming up, the inauguration of Donald Trump, the deep state. I mean, they have said what a threat Donald Trump is. I'm not drawing any conclusions. However, this is really, really odd. Today, of all days, the FBI decides to put out more information than they ever have before about the individual who tried to bomb the Democrat National Committee headquarters and the Republican National Committee headquarters on January 6, 2021. Today is the day they chose to do that.
On January 5th, 2021, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m., an unidentified individual placed pipe bombs near the offices of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee in Washington, D.C. We are releasing additional details about the suspect, as well as previously unreleased video of the suspect placing the bomb at the Democratic National Committee. A reward of up to $500,000 is available for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the individual responsible for this attempted attack. If you have any information, please call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also submit tips online at tips.fbi.gov.
Here's a tip. Stop deceiving yourselves and the American people and adopting Democrat philosophical, deeply partisan talking points and lies about January 6th and beyond. What are the new details they want everybody to know?
One previously unreleased detail is the FBI's estimate of the suspect's height to be approximately 5'7" tall. The suspect wore a face mask, a gray hooded sweatshirt, and black gloves.
Okay, they could have told us that the next day. Why today? This is not new, but they're kind of packaging it as something new. And I'm suspicious, very suspicious. Christopher Wray is said to be on vacation again, the FBI director. You know, he's leaving. Somehow he thought he could resign, but he's in Colorado, they say, on vacation, a ski vacation. He's been very, very strange about so many things, especially January 6th. How many people were there who were affiliated with the FBI on January 6th?
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Wray,
confidential human
gentleman's
sources.
time has expired.
He's so mad, he's moving his mouth, he got busted. And now we know from Horowitz, who wouldn't tell us the whole story either, the DOJ Inspector General, that they had guys dozens of people there affiliated with the FBI on January 6th. The operation was over. Why wouldn't you tell us?
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.